Do we care? Do we care that our children are being raped and murdered and tossed aside and that there is no justice for them? We have a call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. Good night. Newsmaker Live. Okay, so we lost this call. But St Lucia, do we care? You know, I'm certainly sure a lot of us, we watch television and we hear a lot of the things that are happening in the States and in Canada and in the UK. But before I go down that road, we have a call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good night, love.
Good night. So we lost this call. And I'm certainly sure that we've heard of the Amber Alert or Megan's Law. Do you know that these laws and these alerts came about because citizens, regular citizens like you and I, agitated, lobbied, and advocated for those laws to be passed so that their children, their memories could be served, could be remembered, and justice could be had, and that another child somewhere would not suffer the fate of those children. We have a call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good night, Laura.
Good night.
Yes, interesting topic tonight.
Thank you.
And my position on a lot of, first of all, the fact that a lot of women don't talk about rape, I think it goes way back to how a lot of us grew up. And the fact that a lot of us as young girls were not educated about bad touch and good touch. And I think it's only now that, you know, we have social groups talking about how to protect yourself and how it is that an adult can, you know, pounce on the innocence of a child, right? I don't know my first encounter, and, you know, being raped, and I think the whole thing about being raped is not just about penetration. There's all different types of rape. To me, once you what's the word? Force yourself upon me, you know, in any way, that is harassment, that is sexual harassment. I was 8 or so, and, you know, my neighbors, we going out, we having fun playing cricket in the road and whatnot. And, you know, the uncle came over and they said, well, let's go to the beach. It was about 4 of us. I probably making the fifth person. I had to literally beg my father to go. You know, back in the days, you have to ask for permission to go everywhere. You know, I was a little girl. Really beg, and he's like, no, where you going? Stay there, you know. But everybody else going, so, you know, our children can beg and beg and beg. So we go in the beach, and then this man touching me. And, you know, as a child, you don't know what to think of it. So sometimes you just swim away. I swam away, but, you know, it was very uncomfortable. And as an adult, it's hard to even say, don't do this or don't do that. Mm-hmm. We go to the house, and then for some reason we went back to his house. And he said, oh, we're going to cook food and stuff like that. And then I ended up getting burns on my because we were cooking in the kitchen. I don't know how I was in there, but I was there. And I ended up getting burns on my elbow. And he said, well, come into the bed, and I'll put some Colgate on it, you know. And that's something I know, because I know my dad puts Colgate on when I get burned. So I went to the bedroom, and as soon as I reached, he just pushed me on the bed and started touching me. And I didn't talk about it for years. And you won't believe how I ended up talking about that. It was a friend I was talking to, a little girl. I remember saying, and I was just talking about it almost as if like I was boasting. That's to show you how innocent I was. And girl, let me tell you what the man do me. I was like, oh, for true. I wonder how that feeling. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You know how my parents end up finding out? A day me and that girl get vexed. No, but you know, little petty saying, oh, I'm not talking to you, I'm not playing with you today. They were listening to this, like, go and tell the teacher what the man do to you. I say, one tell, I okay. One tell, I okay. She went and tell, and that was it. You know, I went to the principal's office, and I remember going there, and the principal asking me if I want to tell my mother. I was like, why should I tell my mother? To me, why? I'm like, and you know, all of a sudden the guilt is like, oh my gosh, what did I do? That's how I felt all of a sudden. I remember walking home and I was saying, okay. I said, well, okay, I'll tell my mother, because sometimes back in those days, when you know you're going to get licked, it's better you than use than somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I just remember the pain I saw on my mother's face when I told her. And the way she hold her head and she sat down on the floor and started to cry. And I was like, I don't know. And as a child, I just remember it, and as an adult now, and you go back and you think. And today, you know, in my interaction with children, a lot of them, I remember having the conversation, and a lot of them don't know about it. I was in a classroom with 10 girls, and like 8 out of them literally said when they were a child, they were inappropriately touched.
Oh, God.
And most times it's by family first. You understand? And if it's not family, then it's in the school. You have children who are exposed. For example, the previous caller who spoke about, they see, probably his daughter might be witnessing the act. When they come to the school, they do these things and they expose your children to
They
it.
do, they
And
do.
they have no idea as to what it is that they're doing. You understand? And I think it is only now that we're starting to educate people. I remember I was doing a thesis on it. We have to educate people about it. It's no longer hush-hush. You know, I remember a friend of mine getting raped. She was living in a house all alone, and 2 men entered the house, stole everything, and raped her. And I remember standing up in the bathroom, and I'm telling her, do not shower. We have to go and do a rape kit. We have to go to the police. And she told me, no, she's not doing it. Right? To the point where we were literally arguing, and she said, respect my wishes, I am not going to the police. I just had to go in my bedroom and cry.
I can just
Especially
imagine.
for me, going through
Yes.
something like that.
Yes. Knowing what your
Understand?
experience had been
And
previous.
then at least I'm feeling the time where I can do something about that.
Yes.
I'm begging her, you know. And she gave me valid reasons for her decision not to do it, you know. She said, me, why are you going to do that, girl? For my name to be bouncing up and down in the police station?
Yes, yes,
Me, girl?
yes.
When I go in the hospital, and for me to be up and down, people judging me,
The rape culture.
I'm telling you, and that is what she was concerned about. And more so, she was more concerned, and that's another thing about women, you know, we care so much about other people and their feelings when traumatic things happen to us. We protect other people and other people's feelings, when we, instead we are the ones always, you know, just accommodating, waiting to explode. You understand? She's like, oh, I don't want to tell my mother what her mother, and it's this vicious cycle.
It is a vicious
Her
cycle.
concern was,
Yes.
exactly. Look at the justice system. What's the point? What's the point? And you see people going off, people getting killed all the time. When was the last time anybody was sentenced? Right? What's happening with rape kits? I have a friend of mine working inside, and she told me the amount of people getting raped and the amount of rape kits she does. And they just go on the shelf and collect the dust. Why? And then afterwards people say why we don't talk about it and whatnot. What is happening?
Well,
And
that is, it's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Us saying that we don't want to talk about it, and it's not just us saying we're just going to, you know, this is something as a woman we have to deal with. You understand? How are we supposed to deal with anything when there's no support system for us? And then it's happening in the home, you know, people taking abuse, and you see violence of any form. I remember a time I was fighting with an ex of mine in the road, quarreling. These things happen in his house because I'm passionate about it, right? And literally, he wasn't hitting me, but I remember it was getting very physical, and I was afraid to the point I was like, somebody help me, tell him stop, I want to leave from here. You know how much people outside watching, nobody will come and help me.
Because
Come come and help
oh
me.
no, but it's a spectator sport.
Yeah,
You know,
on top
it's
of that,
drama
2 weeks later,
unfolding right
somebody
before
calling-
their eyes.
Somebody calling my father and telling my father I was quarreling by the road.
Instead of coming to help you.
Instead of coming to help me, they call my father instead and tell my father they saw me by the road quarreling. And at that point in time, I literally felt that my life was in danger. Understand? And everybody, I can remember the faces. I see them every day, and I'm like, I remember you. You didn't help me when I was in need. You understand? And then waving me as though I'm your friend. No, I don't know. It's just a really sad cycle, and I remember it, and all of those things women have to face on a day-to-day basis, especially in St. Lucia. It's really, I don't know, it's disheartening.
It is.
So for me to end, I don't know, on some kind of positive note, I think that we are making some strides in terms of, you know, educating people and letting people know that it's okay to talk about it. Because honestly, even though nothing much happened, and let me tell you, Laura, when I went to court and stuff like that, I was still going primary school. That was like very traumatic for me.
I can
Very
imagine.
traumatic. And then nothing happened. And then you have lawyers coming and basically rip you apart on the stand.
Yes.
Right? There's no kind of, all of a sudden you're painted as, not the victim, but the bad one.
Yes.
You painted as, what's the word? I'm lost. Right? But you know what I'm saying, right? That you're wasting the people's time. That's how I felt. And then when I see all these people coming up, like you see a magistrate, you start to feel intimidated and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home.
And as a young child, it's intimidating as an adult, much less for a young child.
Exactly.
Who does not even fully understand or appreciate all the nuances of everything that is happening at the time. You just feel threatened and scared.
It's only as an adult you get to see it. And then my heart just aches to all the women who go through traumatic situations like that. And all they have to do is deal with it on their own.
Yes.
That's all we do.
Yes.
When you see all of us women walking the streets, it's a whole set of, just big loads we just carrying. And that's why women are strong. We learn how to just deal with it. Right? And that's what they teach us. But it's not right. We have to be able to talk about it.
Yes, and we need solutions. We need to know that when something untoward has happened to us, that when we make a report, that we're treated seriously, that it is taken seriously, and that this is investigated and it is brought to bear, and not 6 years and 16 years and 20 years down the road, we're having to face our abuser day in and day out, feeling threatened every time we see this person, because we know the kind of power they can exert over us, the kind of control that they can take from us, and nothing is being done. So I applaud you for speaking out and for having overcome your situation and for trying to help your friend. And yes, we're talking about it. We need to talk about it more, but we need to advocate and lobby a lot more so that these men and some women too know that enough is enough. We're not going to stand for this anymore. We're going to do whatever it takes, sometimes at our own expense, so that somebody else, maybe our own child, does not have to go through that. So I applaud you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much, and continue to do what you're doing, because we need people to talk about it. And, it's a domino effect. If you're talking about it, I feel like I can talk about it.
Yes.
Jane down the road, she could talk about it. Even if there's no, penalty for the perpetrator, but talking helps.
Yes,
talking
yes. Definitely.
Thank you very much, Laura.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. And sometimes we have to understand that everybody, all of us in society, we are responsible for each other. I remember growing up that we were told raising a child takes a village. And I remember one day I went to my dad's workplace. My dad was a body man at the time, and I sat at the neighbor's house. And when I got up, I was sort of a tomboy. And when I got up, I must have sat somewhere near a nail or something, and I ripped my dress. Never paid any mind to it, never paid any attention to it, and went home. And my mother questioned me, and I couldn't answer. And she was so distressed that somebody or something had hurt me. St. Lucia, we need to care more about our children. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Good night, Laura.
Good night.
And good night to your listeners. People who know me would know well that I have very radical views about this. Rape is something that is allowed. That is my opinion, period. It's something that is allowed. And it is for us as a people to come to a point to say, I am not going to allow this.
Explain what you mean when you say rape is allowed.
It is
explain,
allowed.
Explain.
Because I hear people talking, the same conversations that we are having, right? People are calling in and saying that they are going to. Why? Because it is allowed. We have allowed it to happen. We have allowed it to happen for many years.
I don't get how somebody breaks into my house.
When I mean allowed, right? I'm not looking
Hello?
at it at the yes. Hello, I'm right there.
I'm sorry. You're going in and out. Sorry.
I'm not looking at it from the perspective of the person who was raped. I'm looking at it from the perspective of our cultural mindset about it. That is the point. Because our mindset is like that, people are allowed to be raped.
The rape culture.
And people exactly, and people don't have a voice and feel that they should not have a voice about it. Right? I always tell my friends, right, and I'm sorry, no man could rape my mother, because my mother would tell you, boldface, rape me, don't worry, there's something coming. And as a man, every man was intimidated by my mother when it came to that, because she was a no-nonsense woman, right? She always said something. Let me tell you, you see this thing, where the devil is afraid to go, a woman would go. I'm just telling you that, and remember that. Laura, this thing is something that we have allowed, and it should stop. This thing is even going as far as that it is the rapist is not somebody that is coming from the streets or far away. Sometimes it's somebody
right
in
our
the household.
in our homes, yes.
A brother, a sister,
Yes,
a cousin. Right? And there's a hush-hush about it, right? And then the image comes to play, right? So it is a societal problem. It is a problem that we have. And as long as we don't deal with this situation, I don't think that we will make progress.
I quite agree.
I don't think we will make progress. We have to deal with these situations. No, woe the man that touches my son and daughter. Thank you.
I understand where the caller is coming from when he says that we allow it to happen. No woman asks a man to rape her, to come into their house or their homes and to violate them and to take away that which is precious to them. But on the flip side, he is right that because of the rape culture, because we denigrate the woman who has been raped, we make it possible for that man who has raped to rape again. And because we make light of it and we make jokes about it, we allow for that young boy who is exposed to certain things to begin to fathom and to possibly become a rapist. St. Lucia, the rape culture needs to change. We need to end it. We need to kill it. We need to bury it. Because at the end of the day, like I've been saying, it could be your child. And then what? You know, we have children who go to the hospitals pregnant at 14 and 13, and nobody reports anything. And even when it's reported, nothing is done. We have a call online. Thank you for calling.
Hello, good night. How are you doing?
Good night. I'm fine. Thank you. How are
you? I just want to make a point. I believe, in general, we just need stronger men in society, you know, to play the role model, so the younger ones coming up could use them as their, you know, idols, and say, you know what, that's what we need to do, because, you know, it's just not right. As a man, you know, I would never do that. You know, tell me no, no is no. That's it. That's very heart-wrenching, you know. So we should start with the men, because they seem to be the perpetrators.
Actually, I kind of want to disagree with you here, and I want to say it starts with the mothers. His call dropped, but I wanted to engage him on that, and I wanted to say that it starts with the mothers. Earlier, I said about the story about my mom, but do you know that oftentimes that mothers will raise their daughters and their sons differently, and that the son is allowed to do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants, come back home whenever he wants, but the daughters are kept hidden inside, and they should be seen and not be heard? We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. Hello? Hello, good night. This is Newsmaker Live. Okay, so we lost this call. But yes, we have to start treating our girl children and our boy children equally. If it's not right for a girl to do something, then it should not be right for a boy to do it as well. Thank you for holding. We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hello.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Listening to what you say, but
we're having a terrible feedback. Can you lower the volume of your television, please?
Look at the prison. Huh?
Look at the
They're raping men in the prison every day.
in the prisons.
And you're not saying nothing about that.
So I don't think it's fair to say that, because I did say earlier,
You are the biggest hypocrite we have.
another caller had said so, and I said to him that tonight we're going to deal with the violence and rape against women, but in a subsequent show we will deal with the rapes against boys and men, because it's a very real thing, and I think it's an even bigger taboo than the one of rape against and violence against women, because men are supposed to be this macho being, and they're supposed to be strong and to be those protectors. And what happens when they cannot protect themselves?
But
We don't talk about that.
More and more men are being emasculated in our society. And we're not saying nothing about that.
But we are going to talk about it. And I'm glad that you're speaking about it. Let's hear what your take is on it. Because that is where it starts. Let's start talking about it. Let's start debunking the taboo.
We have more and more cases being reported in the family court, with men suffering at the hands of women and admittedly other men too. But we're not talking about the plight of men, and then everybody say about women, but nobody not talking about.
So let's start the conversation going.
Because every accusation against a man is not necessarily true, but then we condemn the men. We condemn the men. I'm not saying the men are good and they're not doing wrong things, but we condemn the men, and then you get TV and so on and so on. And to me, you have to watch what you're saying and watch what you're doing, because sometimes it's not right. You know? Anyway,
can you explain, sir? Okay, but I'm glad the gentleman brought this up, because it is a very real fact of life that there are men who are being abused by their spouses, male and female, and that it's a real taboo. A lot of it boils down to what I was saying before. The gentleman called, that we indoctrinate our children differently. We raise our girls and our girl. We raise our boy children and our girl children differently from each other, and the two don't meet. We hold them to different standards. We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good evening, Laura.
Good evening.
I thought you said no politics, but I heard a caller earlier on involve politics. I don't know why we like to involve politics in everything in St Lucia. But I just have a quick observation. Your PIN. Seeing that Mr. St. Omar was married today, I felt it was necessary to call and tell you your pin is worn on the wrong side.
Oh, it's worn on the wrong side.
Yes.
Thank you.
On the left.
It should be on the. Thank you very much. I'm going to change it right now. And this is some of the kind of positive feedback that we need to hear. I did not know. I admit my ignorance that there was a side to wear your pin, and I'm wearing that today. I wear my flag, St. Lucia flag, almost every day on my, and I always wear it on my right side for some reason. But thank you for the observation, and I've rectified that. Thank you. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. Good night.
Some of our girls that they trained on purpose, and that's what they're telling me.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you clearly.
And you're not getting me clearly?
Hello?
You're getting me clearly?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
No, there are some of us, our girls, they did it on purpose.
What are they doing on purpose?
Especially when they listen to their mother, they don't listen to their parents, and they go outside completely, and they don't say nothing at all. And sometimes they go out and say, hey, someone chatting them and nothing like that. But I want y'all to. I like the program, you know. But you'll have to move the program more often.
We have to move it more often.
Yeah, you'll have to have the.
Hello? Did we lose that call?
Have the program more often.
We have to do what? I'm sorry, I lost you for a minute. What do we have to do the program?
Yeah, do continue the program more often. Yeah, my lady?
Yes.
And I watch it right now, but it costs me. All right, my lady?
Okay, thank you.
Because they have a lot of children outside there, and they're doing bad things their parents don't want them to do. All right, my lady?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
All right. And so this caller is saying, and you know, I was listening to a program the other day, and this person was saying, he was a counselor, and he was saying that there was this child the parents were always complaining about her, that she was always doing things that they didn't want her to do, and she was acting out and whatnot, and they couldn't figure it out, and she would just leave the house and go out to parties and drink at a very young age. She was a teenager, maybe about 12, 13 years old, and she was doing all of those things. And he was saying that there is a reason why our children act out. And once we take the time to find out why the children are doing what they're doing, then that is the first step to ameliorating that situation. And sometimes it is not the parents who have done something wrong to the child, or in the home that whatever is bugging the child is happening. Sometimes it is out there. And what he had found with this particular child is that one day when she had gone down the road to buy bread, she had been molested by her neighbor, and he had threatened her parents' life. And so this little girl had to bear the burden of protecting her mother, her father, and her brother and sister, and so she never spoke. And so, but it's something that was weighing on her, and as she got older, she started acting out because she couldn't understand. She was crying for help, in other words, and she couldn't figure out why her parents weren't giving her the help. She didn't know how to ask for the help using words, so she acted out. And she felt that her parents should have been able to read those signs and to be able to offer her help. And it went on, and until that third party intervened and counseled both the parents and the child, they find out that she had spoken to a family member, but they did not believe her, and so she felt all alone in this whole thing, and she started acting out. And then the parents, started being frustrated and not knowing what to do and desperate for help. But we have to be able to help our children. When we see them acting out, we have to be able to find out and delve and find out what the deeper problem is. We have our final call. Thank you for holding, and thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. Okay, so we lost that call, but we'll take one more call before we leave, and once we've done that, I will read to you this article that I started reading to you earlier, and that I thought was very insightful as I was preparing for this show. But just again to make the appeal that sometimes our children act out because something has happened to them in their past, or something has happened and they're not believed by the ones who are sworn to protect and provide and love them. Since we don't have a call, let me just go through this article. It's called Victim or Jamet, One-Time Kidnapper or Serial Rapist. Do we have another call? No. It is improbable. In fact, we have a call. This is our last caller. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. And we lost the call. So it goes, it is improbable, in fact, practically impossible, that a man would kidnap someone to use for his deviant sexual pleasure, having never done anything of that nature before. The discovery of a teenage girl bound and gagged at the Marigot home of a Cicero bus driver could only be the latest in an escalating series of deviant acts by the kidnapper, and should be a warning to the rest of us that we cannot let even small crimes go undetected or unpunished. We have our last caller. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Thank you. Tonight we speak a lot about the gruesome experiences, the lifelong and the bitter memories, the pain of having to protect ourselves from the perpetrators and the accusing eyes of the public. But the culture of our society and the weakness of the education system the deficiency also in the judicial system, and the scarce resources of the government all have contributed and helped to perpetuate this deplorable practice. I think this is a moment in time today when collectively every member of the society, every member of government, and of the formal institutions like the church and other social groupings must pause and evaluate and take decisive steps to counteract this plague. I would like to suggest the following, at least a few. One, that the education curricula be extended to include training and sensitivity to the subject. Two, that people inculcate into their behaviors greater respect for each other. That three, that parents treat their children with greater love and respect and gain their confidence. Four, that the law takes full responsibility for its inaction and for the plagues and the experiences that people live through, having gone through these turmoils. These are some of the suggestions I would like to offer. I'm sure that, and last one, that the country and its people get closer to God. If we do that, we are going to love each other more and have greater respect for each other.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call, and I cannot think of a more fitting way to end this program tonight but with this call. And I've always said, talk shows, yes, it's about talk, but it should also be about solutions. So I'm very pleased and I'm very happy that we waited for this call, and I don't think it's by accident that this is the last call. So I thank you very much, ma'am, for your call, and I hope that we all do our own part play our own part, as small as it may be, in rectifying and stamping out the scourge. I want to end by remembering Valerie Lord, age 21, Trisha Dennis, age 15, Giselle Georges, age 16, Valinda Joseph, aged 12. Just a handful of our young women and girls whose lives have been cut way too short. I want to thank you, all of you, for listening, for participating, and especially I want to thank in a special way our survivors who shared their stories with us, and here's to hoping that this was a catalyst for you and that we can begin to see the end of this scourge and this rape culture in St. Lucia. This is me, Laura Jaffe, saying goodbye and see you next week.